Hey, what's up everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we are doing the Beterbiev versus Smith breakdown video, as Arthur Beterbiev, the reigning undefeated and unified light heavyweight champion of the world at 175 pounds, defends his 3 titles against his WBC mandatory challenger and former super middleweight champion of the world, Callum Smith of the United Kingdom. This fight takes place on Saturday, January 13th on ESPN. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. And again, guys, next week, all the champions reports on every governing body, all titles and champions, and what's happened this year from 122 all the way to heavyweight are going to be done. That's Tuesday the 27th. I'm doing all those. And then on Wednesday the 28th, I'm starting my top 10 videos, breaking down every fighter that made the top 10 from 122 all the way to heavyweight in each division. And I do it in a countdown form. Everybody gets a video if you made the top 10. So back to this fight now. Beterbiev and Callum Smith for the unified light heavyweight championship of the world. Excuse me. This fight to me is a much bigger and better matchup than it's getting credit for, in my opinion. I'm really excited about this fight right here. I think it's going to be fucking good for as long as it lasts. Now, if you have not seen my breakdown videos before, I discuss the fight, what it means, and all that kind of stuff. And then we get into each fighter individually and ask what they've done rolling in, ask the same questions about them, what they need to do to win. And then at the end of the video, is it better for boxing if one of the other wins? And then I give my prediction. So in a championship fight like this, we would start with the champion and then move over to the challenger. Now, what does this fight mean for the light heavyweight division for boxing? It's a huge fight. It really is. You got Beterbiev against his mandatory challenger, Callum Smith, but Beterbiev, arguably the best light heavyweight in the world. I say arguably because him and Dimitri Bivol go toe-to-toe for the last 3-4 years now of who's the best light heavyweight at 175. Bivol holds the other title. Until these guys fight for undisputed, we're really not going to know. But this is, in my opinion, one of the toughest tests for Beterbiev of his career. He's 19-0 at 19 knockouts. And the reason I say this is because Callum Smith is the former #1 fighter at 168 before he was unseated by Canelo. You know, this guy defeated the previous #1 in George Groves in the World Boxing Super Series Season 1 finals, knocking him out. And he maintained that status in that position until he lost to Canelo. And, you know, now he's moved to light heavyweight and become the mandatory challenger. So it's a significant ass fight. I'm rolling into this fight, you know, the mindset when Beterbiev fought Anthony Yarde last year, most people felt that Beterbiev was going to roll through Anthony Yarde. They weren't giving Anthony Yarde the love that he deserved. And Anthony Yarde almost beat him. He almost pulled off the upset. He hurt Beterbiev a couple times and ran out of gas again like he did against Sergey Kovalev, and he got stopped in the 8th round because Beterbiev's a great fighter. But he's also 38 years old, and Callum Smith is coming to try to knock him off and become the world champion here. And I think Callum Smith poses just as much a threat, if not more, than even Anthony Yarde did. So it's a big fight right here. Winner, you know, you put right back in the front of the line, maybe ahead of Beterbiev for the #1 spot at 168. I mean 175. I'm sorry, light heavyweight. So let's get into these two fighters. We start with the reigning undefeated and unified light heavyweight champion of the world, Arthur Beterbiev. We look at what he's done rolling into the fight, and usually I go back and look at their last 3 fights. His last 3 fights date back to December of 2021. So that was against Marcus Brown, who was his last WBC mandatory defense. and he broke down Marcus Brown, who actually did well early on and cut Beterbiev. Beterbiev had to grind and press Marcus Brown, break him down, and he stopped him in the 9th round of that fight to retain his then 2 belts. I believe he had the WBC and the IBF title at the time. Then he returned in June of 2022, and attempted to unify belts against WBO champion Joe Smith Jr., and he rolled right through Joe Smith, hurt him in the 1st round, put him down, and then rolled him in the 2nd round, putting him down again and stopping him, and he unified 3 of the 4 light heavyweight world titles. Then in his last fight, which was in January of this past year, he took on Anthony Yarde in a WBO mandatory defense, and he dominated. Well, he didn't dominate. He actually was getting outboxed and outworked. He was down on points when he was able to stop Anthony Yarde in the 8th round of that fight to retain his unified light heavyweight title. So 19-0, 19 knockouts, 38 years old. He's heading into this one coming off of what is going to be a year layoff since the Anthony Yarde fight. You know, he was supposed to fight Callum Smith in August, but some retinal issue caused him to have to pull out of the fight and postpone it, and now he's coming back. Now, you know, I know people are, if you don't know Beterbiev's background, you're going to look at it and be like, wow, this guy's hasn't been very active the last couple years. He's got 3 fights in the last 2 calendar years, tallying up a total of roughly 20 rounds, almost 20 rounds. But the thing that people got to understand is Artur Beterbiev is built for this. He has fought 1 time per calendar year for the last 3 years. He didn't fight in 2020 at all because of COVID. And then he fought, what was it? He fought, no, actually he did fight twice in 2021, I'm sorry, when he came back. But that kind of made up for him not fighting in 2020. The last time he fought twice in 1 year was 2021, but prior to that was 2019. And he's only fought 3 times in the past 2 years, 20 rounds and 2 full calendar years. So hasn't been super active, but a lot of that's waiting for opponents and injuries that have caused any setbacks. But Beterbiev comes in great shape, and he finishes all his opponents. So what does he need to do to win this fight against Callum Smith? Well, he's given up, for the first time, he's given up a significant height and reach advantage. Callum Smith has him by 3.5 inches in height. He's got him by 5 inches on reach. So Beterbiev needs to get inside of Callum Smith, but he needs to be careful in this fight. He needs to move side to side. He needs to box and punch, work the body. If he can get to Callum Smith's body and worry maybe more body head instead of head body early in the fight, then he can get Callum Smith deep into the waters, because Callum Smith has been less active than Beterbiev, and I think he might be able to get him out of there. But I also believe he's got that one punch kind of power to hurt a guy like Smith. But again, he's got to be able to work around Callum Smith's jab. I think Callum Smith is going to try to box him and set up his big shots and not let Beterbiev get on the inside. So he needs to get into that chest. He needs to work the body, and he needs to move side to side and cut the ring off and cut the angles off of Callum Smith in order to get to him and hurt him. Now, can Beterbiev win this fight by knockout? Artur Beterbiev has won every fight by knockout. Callum Smith's never been knocked out, no, but he's never faced anybody with the power of Artur Beterbiev. So absolutely, I think Beterbiev might be able to hurt him with one punch, and I also believe wholeheartedly that he can do to Callum Smith what he's done against most of his opponents, which is take him into the late rounds and stop him. Against every legitimate contender he's fought, Beterbiev has taken his opponent into the late rounds and stopped him. So absolutely could do it again, in my opinion. Can Beterbiev win a decision? That's going to be tough. Stylistically, Callum Smith might be the better boxer here. Might be. I'm not saying it's full on that he is, but he might be the better boxer. But can Beterbiev win a decision? We've never seen Beterbiev get to the scorecards, but I do believe that he could do enough to win a decision. I'm just not sure it's a blowout if it gets there. Now, what does a win mean for Artur Beterbiev right here? It means everything. It adds another solid-ass name to his resume. But he also holds on to his world titles and keeps the prospect of the undisputed title fight against Dimitri Bivol alive. And Beterbiev needs that fight, man. He does. He needs that fight for his legacy and all that. You know, becoming undisputed is huge, and he wants to stay there. And now that Bivol is a bigger name since he beat Canelo, it only makes it that much bigger, that much better for Beterbiev. So a win means everything. What does a loss mean for Beterbiev? A loss really, really hurts Beterbiev, because we still are caught in the mystique of how good Artur Beterbiev is, you know, and that nobody's been able to take him 12, that nobody's been able to stop him and hurt him. He just keeps rolling through people. A loss here, especially with the prospect of the Bivol fight right there, would devastate his career and devastate him right now. So a loss would be bad. Now we are going to look at the challenger, the former super middleweight champion, the current WBC mandatory challenger, Callum Smith of the United Kingdom. What has he done rolling into this fight? Looking at his last 3 fights, they date back to December of 2020 when he took on Canelo Alvarez and lost. He challenged for the vacant WBC title, but he lost his WBA title by a one-sided 12-round unanimous decision. Canelo dominated him, handed him the first defeat of his pro career. He would return in 2021 against Lenin Castillo as he debuted at 175, did Callum Smith, and he made quick work of a legitimate light heavyweight in Lenin Castillo, a legitimate veteran in light heavyweight, and he knocked Castillo out in 2 rounds. A lot of people were surprised by that. Then last year in 2022, he took on Mathieu Bouterleek in an eliminator, and he knocked out Bouterleek in 4 rounds. So he's only fought, and by the time this fight happens, it's going to be over 3 years, dating back to his last 3 fights. He has only fought 3 times in 3 calendar years. So basically he's averaging about 1 a year. And he's only fought a total of about 18 rounds in that time frame. So he has been supremely inactive. We know he was gonna fight Beterbiev, but he has not taken tune-ups or anything to keep himself busy, and that could be a mistake heading into this one. But Callum Smith is hungry. He has the height and reach advantage. He's the younger fighter, 29-1 with 21 knockouts. Callum Smith is hungry. He wants to become a 2-division world champion. He wants to pull off the upset here and become the unified light heavyweight champion of the world. And I think he's going to be ready for this fight. Now, what does Callum Smith need to do to defeat Artur Beterbiev? Well, he needs to absolutely use the height and reach advantage and the jab. He's got to stick that jab. He really does. And I absolutely think he needs to take a chance here and there early on to see how Beterbiev takes to his right hand, you know? And he also needs to not forget about the punch that made him a star, that made him a champion, the left hook. His left hook against George Groves in the 7th round of the World Boxing Super Series Finals is what got him that victory and made him the top dog at 168. And it could make him the top dog at 175. If he can land that shot and set up the right with the jab, Callum Smith could be your next light heavyweight champion of the world. But he's also got to be in great shape. He's got to be willing to go deep into a fight, because we know Beterbiev can go deep into a fight and still pound you and still hit you. but he's got to be ready for 12, because that's the one thing Beterbiev has never been, is 12 rounds, and he's got to be ready to box. I think he needs to box first, punch second, but not be afraid of landing those big shots, of throwing those big shots, so he can try to make a dent and potentially stop Beterbiev and become the light heavyweight champion of the world. So, can he win this fight by knockout? You know, it's funny, I think he can. I think Callum Smith, since he's moved up to 175, because he was such a big super middleweight, I think his power increased. I think he's more comfortable at 175. I think his power's there, and I absolutely believe that the possibility of a knockout over Beterbiev is there. Can Callum Smith win a decision? Honestly, I think if it goes to the scorecards, it might be close. But yeah, I think Callum Smith has the style and the size advantage to outpoint Beterbiev on the cards. So yeah, I do think he can win a decision. What does a win mean for Callum Smith? If he beats Arthur Beterbiev, it's the biggest win of his career. He becomes the unified light heavyweight champion, but Beterbiev is a bigger name and more of a threat than George Groves was. I think a lot of people went into the George Groves clash as, well, he's got the size and height and reach. We just don't know if he's legitimate yet, because his path to the finals was very different from Groves' path. He didn't really have to work to get to the finals. Groves did. And Groves had already fought his ass off against Carl Froch twice. We knew how good George Groves was. We did not know how good Callum Smith was, and he caught him and knocked him out. Well, heading into this one, we know how good, we know Callum Smith is good, we just don't know how good he is in terms of at light heavyweight. We know Arthur Beterbiev is a fucking, a steamroller. This guy is a steamroller. And we know what he brings to the table. And if he could pull off the upset in any way, shape, or form, then that will be the biggest win of his career. It would mean huge things, and it probably set up the undisputed title clash with Bivol, because they're both with Eddie Herman Matchroom. So yeah, the win would be huge. What would a loss mean for Callum Smith? It depends on how he loses. I think he's coming in the underdog with kind of that nothing to lose mentality. But if it's an embarrassing loss, if he goes out there and gets destroyed, then people are just going to look at him as, you know, and it might give him opportunities, but I think people might look at him as a stepping stone, as a gatekeeper, as a guy we got to go through to get to your Beterbievs and Bivol, and that's how he might get treated. But a close loss doesn't hurt him as much, and it makes people understand that he's a serious threat, even if he loses a close one to Beterbiev. So it just depends on how he loses. But a bad loss will really hurt him. So now, is it better for boxing if Arthur Beterbiev wins this fight or if Callum Smith wins this fight? And for me, that's clear. It's better for boxing if Beterbiev wins. He's 19-0, 19 knockouts. We still don't know exactly how good he is, but real boxing fans love that. 19-0, 19 knockouts. Casual fans love that because he's knocking everybody out. He has a 100% knockout ratio. But more importantly, the hardcore boxing fans, the writers, everybody like that, wants to see Beterbiev versus Bivol. It's the fight we've been teased and want to see for years now. And, you know, hardcore boxing fans want to see them fight for undisputed. So it's better for boxing with Beterbiev's record and style and the potential of that huge undisputed title clash. It's better for boxing if Beterbiev wins. It is. So that's just a fact. Now, it wouldn't be bad for boxing if Callum Smith wins, you know, because Callum Smith can rewrite his legacy right here at 175. Right now, he's looked at as kind of a guy that, you know, was a legitimate fighter, but not a superstar at 168 and got destroyed against Canelo. Well, he can rewrite that at 175 and be like, hey, I'm way better at 175 than I was at 168, and this is my time now, by pulling off the upset, and he can flip the script. So it wouldn't be bad for boxing. I just think it's better for boxing if Beterbiev wins. But now, my prediction. Who do I think is going to win this fight between Arthur Beterbiev and Callum Smith for the unified light heavyweight title? And I think Callum Smith's a very live underdog. And I think he has a very good chance of pulling off the upset. I think the timing's there. I think his power is there. I think the size and height advantage, the size and the size advantage, his skill set, his power, and the fact that Beterbiev's 38 now and he's getting up there, and you never know when a fighter finally is going to get old. I think all those are reasons that Callum Smith definitely could pull off the upset here. But because nobody's been able to stop Artur Beterbiev to this point, I think Beterbiev is just going to take Callum Smith's shots. He's going to be able to take them, and he's going to just push through and grind through. And whether he's winning on the scorecards or not, he is going to do what he's done already before so many times. Break his opponent down, break his opponent's will, and stop Callum Smith in the middle to later rounds to retain the unified light heavyweight title at 175. But again, if Callum Smith can box and keep him away and is in great shape, he could stop Beterbiev or score a points decision after 12 and pull off the upset. Absolutely. I absolutely believe that, and I'm super excited about this fight. To me, this is a battle of 1B or number 2 versus number 3 in the division right now, and I can't wait to see it. Saturday, January 13th on ESPN. This is the Beterbiev versus Smith breakdown video as reigning undefeated unified light heavyweight champion Artur Beterbiev defends his light heavyweight title against WBC mandatory challenger and former super middleweight world champion Callum Smith of the United Kingdom. Again, January 13th on ESPN. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support that I can get. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.